Let's talk about Google's new chip, the Tensor G6. Now, for years, Google has been trying to build a processor to compete with the big dogs, but they've been fighting this losing battle, not just for speed, but against heat. So what if I told you that to finally win, Google has decided to intentionally lose? Sounds weird, right? Well, let's break down how Google is turning down the heat by giving up on the race for speed.
You know, if you've ever owned a top-of-the-line Pixel phone, you've probably felt it. It's this strange feeling. You've paid all this money for a flagship device, but it just struggles sometimes. And man, does it get warm. This isn't just some small quirk. It has been a huge, and I mean billion-dollar headache for Google.
And look, this isn't just me saying it. A leaked internal document from inside Google revealed something pretty shocking. The #1 reason people were returning their phones under warranty was because of overheating. Just think about that for a second. More than broken screens, more than faulty batteries, it was the fact that the phones were just getting too darn hot. That was costing the company a fortune and, maybe worse, its reputation. The stakes here are incredibly high.
And for gamers, oh, it was a nightmare. That 50% you see, that's the drop in frame rates. You could be playing a high-end game for just 15 minutes, and your Pixel phone would start to throttle itself so badly that performance would literally get cut in half. You go from a super smooth experience to a choppy, stuttering mess, all because the chip just couldn't take the heat.
So how did Google even get into this mess? Well, this problem isn't new. It has really deep roots, going all the way back to the very first Tensor chip and a key partnership that basically defined its early and very hot years.
Right, so from 2021 up to 2024, those first 4 Tensor chips were all built with Samsung, based on their Exynos platform, and yeah, they were pretty decent at AI stuff, but they were also notoriously inefficient. That's what led to all the overheating and, frankly, the terrible modem performance everyone complained about. Then, with the G5, we saw the first little pivot over to a new manufacturer, TSMC, but the G6, codenamed Malibu, that's the real revolution. We're talking a complete, ground-up redesign with one main goal: solve the heat problem once and for all.
And this, right here, is where the story gets really interesting. To fix this massive heat problem, Google has decided to do something pretty radical. They are intentionally losing the benchmark war. You know, the war that every other company is dying to win. It sounds completely backwards, but trust me, there's a brilliant strategy at play.
Just take a look at these leaked benchmark scores. I mean, on paper, this looks like an absolute disaster for Google. Its main rival, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 5, is scoring a whopping 10,300. The Tensor G6, it's way behind at just under 6,000. For any other company, numbers like these would be seen as a total failure.
Which leads us to the big question, right? Why on earth would Google design a brand new flagship chip that gets absolutely crushed in the most popular performance tests? I mean, are they just giving up? No, not even close. They're just playing a totally different game.
And the name of that game is sustained performance. See, think of peak performance, like a sprinter. They are incredibly fast, but only for a very short burst, and then they're completely gassed out. That's what a high benchmark score is. Sustained performance, on the other hand, is like a marathon runner. It's not about that initial crazy speed. It's about keeping a strong, consistent pace for the entire race. Google is betting everything on the marathon runner.
Okay, so we get the why. Now let's get into the how. What exactly did Google change inside the Tensor G6 to turn it from a hot-headed sprinter into a cool, calm marathon runner? The answer is in a couple of really bold design choices.
This table, right here, shows the single biggest change. Just look at that last row. Unlike Snapdragon, unlike Apple, unlike basically everyone, the Tensor G6 has no small efficiency cores. It completely gets rid of them. Instead, it just uses big and medium cores running at lower, more stable speeds. They've also shrunk the whole chip down, which simplifies the whole design and just makes it fundamentally easier to cool. It is a wild move that puts thermal stability above everything else.
So really, it all comes down to this simple 3-step plan. Step 1, move to TSMC's much more efficient manufacturing process. Step 2, physically shrink the chip to better manage heat. And Step 3, the most important one, they intentionally put a speed limit on the chip. They cap its peak power so that it's designed to never get hot enough to need to slow down in the first place.
Okay, all this technical stuff is cool, but let's bring it back to reality. What does this losing to win strategy actually mean for you, the person holding the phone every day?
Well, if you're a gamer, it means no more of those awful 50% frame drops. Instead, you get a rock-solid, stable 60 frames per second that just doesn't quit, because the chip never panics and throttles itself. And for the rest of us, the benefits might be even better. We're talking about a phone that finally stays cool in your hand and a huge 20 to 30% boost in battery life. Why? Because the chip is just sipping power instead of chugging it for that peak speed you almost never use anyway.
And all of this leaves us with one last big idea to chew on. For years, the entire phone industry has been obsessed with one thing: chasing higher and higher benchmark scores. By intentionally backing out of that race, Google isn't just fixing their own phone, they're asking a much bigger question. In a world where our phones are already blindingly fast, have we finally hit the point where a cool, efficient, and sustained performance is actually more valuable than raw, fleeting power? Google is betting its future that the answer is yes, and you can bet the entire industry will be watching to see if they're right.